All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mindful Mothering. For those of you who have joined us before, you know that you can keep yourself muted, your video on or off, and you can unmute when it's time to do some sharing. So the process for mindful mothering is really an introspective internal experience, especially when we're online. When we're in person, which we alternate every week doing, it can be a much more interactive experience because we are actually all in person. You know, the muting and the unmuting kind of makes that connection a bit strange. So the way that I do the online mindful mothering is it's really an introspective process for you. And often you could be multitasking, you know, with children or babies or dogs or partners who are home or whatever your lived experience is today. And so I break up mindful mothering into 4 specific frameworks. So we start with just some quiet reflection, some journal prompts. We move into a guided visualization. You have time for some art making based on that guided visualization. And then we close with some journal prompts. And then if we have time and a willingness from the participants, we share. And there's no obligation to share. Like I said, it really is about your own internal feelings and your own introspective kind of self-discovery process. So the meeting is recorded, except for the parts we're sharing. So I don't record any of that. I will pause or stop the recording when it's time to share, because your confidentiality is the utmost importance to me. And actually, when it's recorded in this way, even if your video is on in the recording, your video is not part of it. So for anyone who is concerned about that part of it, your video, I can see you, but in the recording, they only see me and the screen that I share with you. So that's, I think, all just the housekeeping details. And so I'm gonna jump right in with the kind of the intro of our topic today, which is mom guilt. And I just like to make the distinction that guilt is different from shame. And guilt is, I feel bad about a thing, and shame is, I am bad, or I am wrong, or it's like taking on the identity of the thing. And guilt is, I feel bad about a thing, or I made a mistake, or I messed this up, or I feel bad about this. And so I like to make the distinction between those two things, because when we talk about mom guilt, we can overlap some of those things. And it's really important to make the distinction, because guilt can come from a place and shame can come from a different place. And so there's the way that you move through each of those feelings might not be all that different in terms of how you meet it or name it or process it. But for today, I just want you to keep that in the back of your mind. Like, am I wording this as I feel bad about taking care of myself, or I don't deserve to take care of myself? Because those two things are different. And they're coming from different internalized places. And so I just like to make that distinction, because not everybody thinks about it that way. You know, like, I feel mom guilt about taking care of myself, setting boundaries, saying no to my child, or discipline, whatever version of discipline you want to take. I feel guilty for wanting time away. I feel guilty for being afraid or worried or anxious about this thing. Like, I feel like other people don't experience this, and I feel guilt about that. So those things can exist in the guilt, you know, camp. But there's also the shame camp, where I don't deserve to take care of myself. I am bad. I am worthless. I am useless. I cannot do anything right. So it's like you have worn the mask of I am a thing. And so those two things are different. And I just wanted to make that distinction because guilt can kind of be a motivator. And shame often just like brings us down. Like the ideas of shame can really bring us into the depths of some really dark places. And so guilt doesn't make anybody feel better, right? Like if you feel guilty about taking care of yourself, you're the only person who feels that. Your kids don't feel that. Your partner doesn't feel that. Your mother-in-law doesn't feel that. They don't feel any of that. That is just you feeling that. And it's a product of the patriarchy and all the other things that I don't need to stand on my feminist box for. It's just they're products, of the way women are supposed to show up in the world. And so for our purposes today, I want us to stay in the guilt camp. Okay. Tackling shame or perfection or some of those other aspects. I definitely like talking about those topics, and there's a time and a place for that. So I want you to just be mindful, about which camp you're sitting in today. And also if you swing, between those two places, like a pendulum, there's nothing wrong with that. I just want you to be able to make the distinction of, I did a thing or I am a thing. Okay. And so I'm going to go into the visualization. No, journal questions first. I'm going to share the journal questions with you to get us started on our topic today, to get you kind of grounded in some of the automatic thoughts you have about guilt. Okay. And I'm just going to I'm going to move you guys over so that I can see this whole thing. My recording does a weird thing when you guys are overlapped. There we go. Okay. So I want you to answer these with your very, very, very first thought. So often our very first thought is how we really feel about something. And everything after that can be a nuance, a narrative, a criticism, a retraction. And so when it comes to mom guilt, I think I should be able to do everything because I'm a capable, independent person. Like I'm not censoring any of that for you, even in this moment, right? And so I really want you to answer with your very first thought, because there's information there, right? Where if I was to censor that, when it comes to mom guilt, I think I'm ignoring all my first thoughts, be able to ask for help, right? And so there's two, or I shouldn't ask for help, or I think I should have to buck up and get on with it. Right. And so I want you to think about like that very first thought that comes through your mind when you're doing these. And I'm going to give you about 5 minutes, and then we're going to move into the visualization. All right. Even if you're still writing, just finish up that thought you're having. You can always come back to these questions later. And I just want you to take a moment, just a moment to transition. Just acknowledging what it took for you to get here today. Things you had to coordinate or do to get to sit down. Just a reminder, tending to your children as they need you, doing whatever you need to do in this time while still trying to maintain some kind of connection with self. Just starting with a few deep belly breaths. You can close your eyes if that feels nourishing for you. If it doesn't, just find something soft to gaze at in the room that you're in. And just sitting with that breath for a few moments. We'll sit in this way for about 30 to 45 seconds, and then we'll transition into the visualization. And if at any point during the visualization you get distracted or pulled away, or even just feel scattered in yourself, there's no judgment, no criticism for yourself in that. We're not going to feel guilty for that, okay? We're just going to allow that this is the reality today. We're just going to try to regulate ourselves in this moment. And what it means to regulate if you feel distracted or scattered or get pulled away is that you're still connected with your breath and your body, and you're just trying to be as present as you can. So, in this moment, inside the mindful mothering, you're getting practice right now in how to navigate some stressful situations, whether it's with baby or your partner or anyone else in your life, by bringing your awareness into your own body and meeting it with some compassion, not judgment, not criticism, not guilt. We're just allowing those physical sensations to rise up in us and meeting them as they come. So you can keep your eyes closed again for this part, connecting with that breath and body. If you're unable to do that, just listening to the sound of my voice while your eyes are open. So many mothers live under a heavy cloud of guilt. I want you to imagine what your cloud of guilt would look like. How big is it? What color is it? Is it windy inside this cloud? Is there a storm brewing? What does the cloud of your guilt look like? Where are you in the perspective of this cloud? Are you underneath it? Are you inside of it? Are you beside it? Getting your own orientation to the cloud now. What is the space that you're in, and what is the space that the cloud is in? Imagine now, even if that guilt feels so heavy and unmovable, I want you to imagine what it would be like if that cloud just like drifted away a little bit to allow for a different scene to come in, a different landscape, a different kind of weather. And imagine this landscape. Maybe the cloud is just off to the side. Maybe it's gone completely. Just feel into your body how it feels to kind of let this cloud drift away, not be the center of your attention. How does it feel in your body if you imagine taking care of yourself? Imagining that good enough was enough. Just imagining how it feels in your body to let go. Not caring less or loving less or not taking responsibility, but just letting go of the heaviness of the cloud. Guilt doesn't make anybody feel better. It doesn't change the situation. But what it does is it keeps you in or under or beside that cloud of guilt. And unless you've spoken it out loud, nobody even knows that you're feeling this way, potentially even tormenting yourself in this way. And so moving from the cloud of guilt to a different kind of landscape, maybe one that's sunnier, brighter, just a different landscape. Just sit and reflect on the things that you would need, maybe the resources or the skills or the tools that you need to push that cloud away or not be in it, under it. Maybe you need the strength to run, metaphorically. Maybe you need a machine like a cloud catcher. Just in your wildest dreams and your wildest imagination, what are the resources or the tools or the strategies that you need to get out from that cloud being such the center of attention? What do you need to put down or acknowledge or process? What is it that you need to stop feeling so guilty? I just want you to tune in for a moment to that sensation inside of your body. It shows up when you feel guilty or mom guilt or guilt about something. And I want you to sit with the unpleasantness of that feeling. And just notice if you can move it up or down inside your body, left or right. Can you break it up or move it? And I want you to come up with a word or a short phrase that would be the opposite of guilt. Resilience, forgiveness, empowerment. What is the opposite word of guilt for you? And you can sit with that reflection for as long as you need. And then we're going to move into some art making. This is open-ended. You could draw the cloud, you could draw the landscape, maybe just guilt as a color. You could decorate the word, the opposite word from guilt. Again, open-ended, an expression, whatever needs to come out of your body today in the form of art. And I'll let you be with your art for about 15 minutes to start, and then I'll check in, and then we'll go from there. Hey everyone, we're in between about 15 and 20 minutes. I can see Melissa, you're still working, and that's okay. I'm just wondering if I put up the journal questions, will I be stopping anybody's process too soon? Okay, I'm going to put up the journal questions. You can continue to work on your art piece or your collage or whatever you're working on, and just move into the journal questions when you're ready. And I will give you, let's say, because it's 10:53, let's say 7 minutes to like wrap up the whole thing between your journaling and your art. So it's 10:53 now, so 7 minutes with these journal questions. All right, so even if you're not totally at a place where you were finished, like I said, I can email you the journal questions if you need. And so now I'm going to stop the recording.